What if every bowler in your team was a master of spin? In this episode, we are diving into a unique cricketing fantasy, assembling an ODI squad comprised entirely of spinners. No fast bowlers, no batters, just pure unadulterated spin.
We will explore the tactical genius behind this unconventional team, from the wily veterans to the young prodigies who could baffle any batter. Could a team like this hold its own in the modern game, or is it just a recipe for chaos? Join us as we spin the story and find out.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Reverse Sweep Show. This is your host SS, and joining me as ever is my co-host AB. With BGT done and dusted, AB, how's it going? What are you up to? What cricket is on your mind?
Definitely feeling the vacuum after BGT, but also happy that it finally got over given our show in the series. But yeah, new year, getting into the routine of the normal week, and looking forward to some cricket that is going to come up later in this month. India versus England, and then later on we also have the Champions Trophy. And with that, we also are going to have some action in a format which is a bit forgotten. We'll see some ODI matches again, and it will be very interesting to see those. What about you, SS? What is happening? What are you doing? What are you looking forward to?
Yes, just like you, getting into the routine of a regular week devoid of Indian cricket now. We still have got Australia and Sri Lanka playing a two-test match series, and I think Pakistan and West Indies are also going to play. But I think the focus for us would shift to the white ball cricket, and especially in a format which is like an ignored format since the ODI World Cup, which is the ODI format. So we thought to do some content around it. Especially after the series ends, you think about things, and also when you think about ODI cricket, you go into that nostalgia mode of how ODI cricket used to be, uh, and it has had so many format changes. But the format and the mechanism of ODIs that we look back towards is the one in which spinners used to have a vital role to play, especially after the 15 over mark. And we thought to do some content around spinners and white ball cricket, and especially ODI. So for the listeners, AB, could you tell what exactly the topic is going to be of today's podcast?
Absolutely. We have done a few serious episodes. We have discussed a few past incidents, a few future cases, but this time we wanted to explore a cricketing fantasy. We wanted to see that if we have to build a hypothetical 11 which comprises only of spinners, what would it look like? So, a very interesting topic, and something where we have to define a very clear approach and some very clear constraints assess. So, with that topic defined, how are we going to approach that, and what are the constraints that we are going to take?
So we are going to look at ODI team, so a team for 50 overs, and taking in all the rules and regulations that apply in today's cricket. So you have two white balls and you have the power plays, and batsmen cannot have runners. Batsmen cannot take change sides when they get caught out in the deep, which will happen a lot with spinners. What we want to see is that we only want to pick players whose primary skill is spin. So apologies to all Jayasurya fans who have 290 wickets in Test cricket, but in ODI cricket, but also made hell lot of runs. So no Sachin, no Sehwag, no Jayasurya, for example. And to make this more concrete, we are looking at generally players who have a batting average of less than 30, because that signifies that also in a way that they are not batting all-rounders, because we essentially want primary skill as bowlers, but who can also bat a bit. Um, I think these are the constraints that we are going to go by, and the approach would be simply that we name our openers, our middle order batsmen 3, 4, 5, going down low middle order 6, 7, 8, and finishing up with pure bowlers who we think are complete mucks at the bat but have got exceptional skill as spinners. So there you have it, AB. Now, since we have introduced the topic and the constraints and the approach around it, I will pass it to you to name your openers.
Yeah, I think this is the most interesting part of the team, SS. I'm really looking forward to seeing who your openers will be. But then to start off with, my openers, I picked a few players who have actually opened for their teams. And spin bowling, although is their primary skill. I will maintain that. You might say otherwise, but then I go by that, and and I'm going to play within the constraints that we have set up. So my opener is Ravi Shastri. For everyone who knows or doesn't know, he started off as a number 10 for Indian team, also opened for the team, but then primarily started off as a spinner. So also has a batting average of 29.04. So pretty much within the constraints that we spoke of. So he is going to be my first opener. The second opener is someone who became a primary spinner towards the end of his career, known for his dashing batting. He opened for Pakistan at some point of time in his career back in the 99 World Cup. Shahid Afridi. You might say he's pretty capable with the bat, but then again has a batting average of under 25. Has heaps of runs with the bat in ODI cricket, but then I still maintain that he's a primary spinner for me in the team, and that is how he played towards the larger part of his career. So they are my openers, Ravi Shastri and Shahid Afridi. Over to USS. Who are your openers?
Yeah, I was too benign with the rules. I should have said average of 25 because I should have factored in all those oldies playing in 80s and 90s where batting averages would be a bit lower than they are today. So you made a loophole out of that and got in Shahid Afridi and Ravi Shastri while I was being true to the ideal of picking only spinners. So, uh, but yeah, kudos to you for taking advantage of the loophole. So, Afridi and Ravi Shastri is as good as a opening partnership that you can get in ODI cricket. So,
And with spinners, with
and
players
with
whose
spinners as
primary
well.
skill is spin.
Yeah, I think with Afridi we can agree that, I mean, throughout his larger part of his career, especially the last 150, 200 ODI matches, people feared more his spin than his batting. Okay, so on my side, I'm going, as I said, in a more traditional approach on the ideal of having spinners only. So I'm looking at a very temperamentally sound opening partnership of Anil Kumble and Daniel Vittori. Anil Kumble has a test 100 at Trent Bridge, but he can also bat in ODI cricket. I remember the famous partnership he had with Javagal Srinath with their mothers watching against Australia and they scoring the winning run. So he was no mug with the bat. And I think he's going to be the solid opener with a good strike rate of around 17 in ODI cricket. And Vittori, we also in the 2015 World Cup semi-final against South Africa, uppercutting his uppercut and his hook and pull were quite good. He gives the left hand option as well at the top, left and right, very important. And so he's more free flowing and he will have the license to attack. So Vittori and Kumble for me as my opening partnership.
Very, very interesting picks, assess. I can totally imagine them playing in the power play in the first 10 overs, 15 overs, and then hitting their shots all around. Kumble, I think he's more of a defensive player. Vettori, I can understand, will make sure that the power play is well used. But very interesting picks nonetheless. Moving moving on to number three. For me, I have a wicket keeping option. Now, whenever I look at spinners, and this is the most difficult part for us, right? Identifying who that wicket keeper will be. So, I have selected one player who is probably the most multi-dimensional player in the world right now. Plays for New Zealand, rattled the Indian team with spin bowling in the recently concluded India versus New Zealand series in India, and that is Glenn Phillips. I know I'm playing around with the constraints a little, has a batting average of slightly over 30, but then I had to pick him for the multidimensional skill set that he brings to the table. And he'll be the primary keeper for me in the team. He can bat, bowl, keep, field, everything. So that's who I go with as my number three and as my wicket keeper.
That's a very interesting take. I mean, yes, has a batting average of more than 30, the constraint that we said, but I think he is one of the very few players who can do everything on the field. Exceptional fielder and also kept wickets, has done that in the past. So, I mean, I give it to you that you were able to get this one out because this is actually one of the tougher things that to find a keeper. So it's a great pick at three, Glenn Phillips.
Yeah, absolutely. And number four for me is one of India's all-time greatest spinners, who also happens to have 6 centuries with the bat in Test cricket, and that is Ravichandran Ashwin. I don't think it's possible to create a team 11 player team of spinners and exclude Ashwin from the team because of everything that he also brings with the bat. So that is my number four. And then at five, I have someone who is a genius in white ball cricket, comes from Afghanistan and has actually changed Afghanistan cricket. Rashid Khan, and he's pretty handy with the bat. He can win matches for his teams on his day. Pretty handy at number five. So that is my number five. So my three, four, five, Glenn Phillips gives me that keeping option. Four is Ravichandran Ashwin, and five is Rashid Khan. What about you, SS? Your three, four, five.
Yeah. So three, four, five are generally the core of your batting lineup and spine of your team. So I'm looking for dependability, um, reliability with the bat. They will always score runs and at a fair clip, and will also give me that leadership option. So my number three is probably the greatest spinner the world has ever seen, and probably the greatest captain international cricket did not see, but we saw that with Rajasthan Royals. So Shane Warne is my number three. In modern ODI cricket, sometimes your number three is the most important batter outside of the openers. So Shane Warne for me comes at three. He's got good attacking instinct with the bat. Has a good record in Test cricket. Scored a 99, got out, and that's his biggest regret in cricket that he could not get a century. But he can be a really good batter. So three for me, Shane Warne, and four and five are exactly as yours. Ravichandran Ashwin, he's a good stroke maker as well. Can play the cut and pull, and can also defend. So he's got like a complete batsmanship about him. That's why he has six test hundreds that you spoke about. So Ravi Ashwin is my four. Number five is Afghan Jalebi Rashid Khan at five for me. I always think that he can bat higher for Afghanistan. He comes at seven, sometimes eight. He can be a genuine number five for that kind of a team. So this is the place where I will start seeing in acceleration from my team coming in. In modern cricket, your five, six, seven are the places where you need good players with a high strike rate who can also finish. So, and of course, there is no question on his spin bowling. Any surface, anywhere. He has done it so many times in so many pressure situations. So it's a no-brainer. Rashid Khan, and he comes at number five. So Shane Warne, Ravi Ashwin, and Rashid Khan as my three, four, and five.
Yeah, I really like how you put that about Shane Warne, that he was probably the greatest captain that the world did not see. And I think I get a hint of where you are going with that, but we'll come to that later. And when it comes to Ashwin and Rashid, I feel these might be one of the very few overlaps in our team, given how we have approached our team till now. But let's see. For me, going to number six, seven, and eight, I want a few players who can give me that longer batting lineup. So number six for me is Aksar Patel. We have seen what he can do with the bowl and also with the bat. He has been a very handy batter for India in the recently concluded T20 World Cup. We saw him being promoted up the batting lineup whenever the team was in trouble, and his innings specifically in the finals was, has to be a very, very crucial innings when it comes to the context of the match that we were in. So that's the number six for me. We have also actually seen him bat really well in the ODI format. I still remember his innings against West Indies where he won the match for us towards the very end. Number seven would be Mehdi Hassan Miraz from Bangladesh, an off spinner, can also bat down the order. He plays down the order for Bangladesh at 7 8 and has his way of taking the game deep. Also denied India a very important victory a few years back in the ODI format, where if I remember correctly, we had to just get one wicket to win, and Hindi Hassan Miraz just
Yeah.
stuck it down. So yeah, that is number seven for me. Number eight for me, interestingly, is one of your openers. So that is So yeah, Dan Vittori for you opens for me, comes down the order at number 8.
Yeah,
At
he can
his more
provide good impetus
yeah,
down the order.
absolutely, and his more traditional position to bat. So that's my 6, 7, 8. Akshar Patel, Mehdi Hassan Miraz, and Dan Vettori to elongate my batting lineup and also give me a few crucial overs with the ball. What about you, SS? Your number 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, also went with the same thing that I still want solid batting. And also since number six and number seven are also traditionally the places where you need good finishers who can bat at a fast clip and set a good score or bat with a batsman to chase down one. Number six, I'm looking for someone who we have got good pedigree of fast run making, and I'm looking at Sunil Narayan. He has opened so many times for KKR in the IPL and has been so successful. And is one of the few bowlers who is so hard to hit even after playing for so many years. I mean, he's so consistently, even in T20 cricket, having an economy of 5, 6, 6.5. So Sunil Narayan, and also gives me an option that he could be my pitch hitter, as we used to speak back in the 90s and 2000s, can come up the order like your Akshar Patel can do in your team. So whenever we are chasing a big score or want to give a different look to the opposition, he can open up and Kumble can come down or Vittori can come down. So Sunil Narayan for me is number six, and also is a left-hander as well. So you need a left-hander middle order. I had three right-handers at 3, 4, 5. So Narayan gives me that option at six. Number seven is spunky, sledgy, great off spinner from India, and has got test centuries as well to his name. Harbhajan Singh at number seven, classical off spinner, uh, and you need a fighter in the team. I think he's that guy. So Harbhajan at number seven for me can also smack the ball when needed, can make handy 15, 20 runs. So Harbhajan for me at seven. Number eight is a common pick, Mehdi Hassan Miraz. I think very solid, very dependable batter he has become. So if you need a blocker round to hang around while the other ones are smacking, and you need somebody to hold one end, he can be very good. And he on if you are playing in Asian conditions, he can be a really handy bowler. I don't intend to use him as a bowler in that much because I think that I have better bowlers, but he can be a very solid option for me. And I think it's difficult to look past him when you're making an 11 of such sort. So eight is Mehdi Hassan Miraz.
I think Sunil Narayan is an amazing pick, SS, and honestly, someone who skipped my radar when I was creating my 11. He can be such an X factor of a player, right? You can make him open and he takes the game away from the opposition. We have seen that so many times with KKR. He is such an amazing bowler, can bowl economically, can bowl towards the start of the match, towards the end of the innings, can also bowl for you if the match goes into a super over. So a man for all occasions, and I got to give it to you. An amazing pick with Narayan. Now coming on to numbers 9, 10, and 11. For me, these are three of my best spinners and three of the best spinners that the world has ever seen. And when I say that, it's a no-brainer that these are got to be Anil Kumble, Shane Warne, and Muralidharan. So they form the core of my bowling attack and also the tail of my batting. And coincidentally, one of them is also your openers and your number 3. So I
Yeah,
think
very interesting way of forming our teams.
yeah. So numbers 9, 10, 11 for me are Anil Kumble, Shane Warne, and Muralidharan. And I think goes without saying why I picked them. What about you, SS? Who are your numbers 9, 10, 11?
Yeah, since I was so close to the ideal, so these kind of bowlers became my top end batsmen. So have to look somewhere else for my tail. Number nine, I've got a decent batter who played for very long. Uh, Brad Hogg from Australia. Even though Sachin autographed on his ball once, he dismissed him that you will never get me out again. But overall, very decent batter and good spinner. I mean, left arm spinner with open bowl leg spin, so a bit of a Chinaman-esque about him, and he could bat. So number nine for me is Brad Hogg from Australia. Number 10, again a leg spinner, picks up a lot of wickets in T20, but also in ODI cricket and can smack a couple of sixes. Imran Tahir from South Africa. I was looking at Keshav Maharaj as well, which is also a very decent option. Both of us, I think, did not go with him. But I felt down at number 10. It will be a wastage of Keshav Maharaj's ability. I need someone who can smack a few. So it was a toss-up between the two South Africans, and I went with Tahir. Number 11, had to go with the worst batter of the team, but the best bowler probably. Muthaiya Muralidharan, could not keep him out. He can bowl, he can spin the ball on glass, as they say. He can bowl on any surface, any condition, and will have an aura about him that no one else can compare to. So number 11 for me is Muthaiya Muralidharan. So, Hogg, Tahir, and Murli.
Interesting. And that sums up the 11. Who are your captain, vice captain, and more interestingly, SS, who are you going to get as a wicket keeper? Who keeps the wickets for you? Because remember, this is a team of spinners, and you
Yeah.
need good wicket keeping skills to keep bowlers like Murli and Warne.
Yeah, that was, I think, the toughest. I think making a team was tough, but having a keeper option was toughest. And I think you played it very well with Glenn Phillips. But yeah, okay. Captain for me, yeah, the best captain international cricket never saw, but Rajasthan Royals did, and Melbourne Stars did. So Shane Warne is my captain. I think easy one for me. Vice captain, I had a couple of options. I was looking at Kumble, who is captain at Test cricket level, Vittori as well, Rashid Khan, but I wanted Ashwin. I think he's got a cricketing brain that matches with anyone, and if not the best. So for me, Ashwin is the vice captain. And for keeper, I was looking at energetic guys who had a bit of spunk about him, who can sledge the batter and create ruckus, and also had, at least in their prime, good fitness, good acrobatics about them. So my primary keeper is actually going to be Brad Hogg because he had such a longevity about him, played till 45. So I think very fit guy. He could be the keeper and he could sledge and he could wag his tongue out and create a lot of, visual problems for the batters. But yeah, I would think that Brad Hogg can also bowl a bit for me, especially if a changer because he's a left arm leg spinner. If that's the case, then Harbhajan comes in as my keeper. So Harbhajan and Brad Hogg are my Pant and Jurel, as we would like to put it that way. So those are my picks. What about you?
Interesting picks, SS. I'm just hoping if I go against your team, if my team goes against your team, then even if my batters fail, I'll get a lot of buys as runs.
Yeah.
So, but we'll have to see what can Brad Hogg and Harbhajan do as keepers. For me, my captain will be someone who has also captained the Indian team. I have Ravi Shastri in the team as a captain. Vice captain would be your captain, that is Shane Warne. I think he has that leadership quality about him, and I definitely want to have him in the leadership core. The keeper for me is Glenn Phillips, as I told you. Now, after having discussed that, who is your 12th man?
I go back in time, go back to before I was born, and I was looking at some statistics about um, spinners who are decent bats, and I was looking with somebody who has 1,000 first class wickets and has got a decent batting average as well. And I go with Derek Underwood of England, who recently passed away, but a great bowler in his own right and a very solid um, batter. I was looking at Nathan Lyon, Rangana Herath as option, but I thought that I gotta give a tribute to the 80s. Go back in time. I have a very modern looking 11. So Derek Underwood as my 12th man.
That's very interesting because, frankly, I never thought of him. I never heard much about him. But kudos to you for going back in time, looking at all the statistics, and bringing out an interesting pick for all of us. For me, my number 12, again, I wanted to pick someone who is a handy bowler and can give me, more importantly, can give me runs with the bat. So I go with the Vanindu Hasaranga from Sri Lanka. You have seen him. He's a fairly potent bowling option, but also is a really good batter. So I go with him as my number 12. Now, for everyone, SS, quickly, can you summarize your team?
Yeah. So my team is Kumble and Vittoria is a very interesting 1 and 2 for me. A left and right hand opening combination, followed by my captain Shane Warne, number 4 Ashwin, my vice captain, Number 5, Rashid Khan. Number 6, Sunil Narayan, who can also come up the order if need be. Number 7, Harbhajan Singh. Number 8, Mehdi Hassan Miraz of Bangladesh. Number 9, my wicketkeeper, Brad Hogg. Number 10, Imran Tahir. 11 is Muthaiya Muralidharan. Number 12 is Derek Underwood. And my coach is also going to be a spinner. Somebody is also in your primary 11, Ravi Shastri.
Great. For me, my playing 11 is Ravi Shastri, Shahid Afridi as openers, Glenn Phillips as my keeper, batter, bowler, fielder at number 3. Number 4 would be Ravi Ashwin. Number 5, Rashid Khan. 6 is Aksar Patel. And 7 is Mehdi Hassan Miraz. 8, Dan Vettori. 9, 10, 11 are the three best spinners that the world has ever seen in Anil Kumble, Shane Warne, and Murli. My number 12, Hasaranga, and my coach. Since we are looking at spinners, so I wanted to pick a coach who was a spinner as his primary skill, and I go with Bishan Singh Bedi. He had a small stint as Indian coach back in the 90s, so I go with Bishan Singh Bedi as my coach.
Yeah, nice throwback to the 70s and 80s from your side as well. So that's a good one. Now, AB, since we have made this fantastical 11 of spinners with all the leadership names and coach, how do you see this kind of a team faring against a modern ODI team in competitions or in series? What's your take on it?
That's a very interesting question, SS. I think compared to the modern teams, a few things that modern teams look at is team combination. They look at a longer batting lineup, so they have a tail that can score runs. One thing which the team cannot compete with respect to the modern teams, at least the modern elite teams, is range hitting and power hitting. So, in case there's a match that goes over 300 runs in a match, or for that matter, even 260, 270 runs, then I feel this team will struggle because they have limited firepower in the batting order. We both of us do have players who can bat till number 8, number 9, but a quick run scoring at a consistent basis is something which I feel these teams would struggle. I think since we have a lot of world class spinners, so teams who struggle playing spin will maybe struggle with the bat with our teams. So, for example, teams from say West Indies or maybe even England or sometimes even New Zealand might struggle against this team, and especially with the bat. So that is one area where we are fairly strong. Imagine a core of Kumble, Shane Warne, and Murli bowling in the middle overs with a ball that is slightly oldish. They can actually completely choke the opposition in that phase, and then imagine having to deal with Rashid Khan after that or before that. So that is one area where I feel the team is fairly strong. And plus, the team would be a menace to face in the subcontinental conditions, where, of
Yeah.
course, like the conditions suit our teams. What about USS? What do you think?
Yeah, this got me thinking, and I was listening to another podcast, 81 All Out one, in which Cricketing View, Kartike Date, who does a lot of articles of Cricinfo, was pointing out that a recent India Sri Lanka series was kind of a throwback to the old times. Sri Lanka played four spinners against us, and we were completely ambushed, as he used the word. This would never happen in an ICC event. No team will come with four spinners, and will not play in them in the 11 at least. Uh, but yeah, conditions permitted, this team can cause a lot of damage, which somehow doesn't happen a lot. Especially if this team was competing in an ICC trophy where you have to play in different conditions within the same country and against different oppositions, this team will not do that well. Uh, Maybe against associate countries they can pick up wins, or teams that struggle against spin like West Indies they can do pretty well. But generally they won't. But in a subcontinent conditions, playing against an opposition in a five-match series where they can think, plan, match up, everything, this team can create problems. And if they can somehow curtail the runs between 200 and 250, and if the rules come back that you do not have two white balls from each end, but you have one, something like that, this team can be an absolute menace. Teams won't like to play against this team for sure. But generally, I would say that against top six cricketing nations, this team will generally lose 4 out of 5 games, and if not most of the games. But let's say the cutoff will be West Indies and Bangladesh. I think this team can beat West Indies in a 5-match series at home for sure, and do very well against associate countries. But any times they have to chase more than 250, 260, it will be very difficult for them, especially in conditions which are not conducive for them, because then the opposition batters will get used to their pace, especially. Even though you keep changing between off spinners, leg spinners, slow left arm, but being accustomed to the pace between 80 to 100 Ks will make it easier for batsmen to take advantage of them, even if they are great spinners, because modern batters really go after spinners if they don't give respect to the man behind who is bowling, whether it's Murli or Warne. So I think your pick of Afridi would be very nice, because then he can bowl 110 Ks and then give a different look to the batters. But generally, I think against top six, this team will struggle. But then after that, it can be really competitive, especially in good conditions which support their kind of bowling.
Fair enough. And I actually have another question for you, SS. Put yourself in your captain's shoes. Put yourself in Shane Warne's shoes. Who is going to be your opening bowler? Who is going to be your middle over bowlers? And who will
Hmm.
end the innings for you in the death overs? Since you have
Yeah,
so many
it's
options of amazing
so many
spinners.
options. It's so interesting. So I will try to look at what observation I've had in live cricket, players who have bowled with the new ball. And I see Ravi Ashwin used to bowl a lot for CSK in the power play, and also for India when he used to play ODI cricket. So Ashwin and Sunil Narayan are the two opening options, because they can vary the pace. They know how to outthink the batter and outthink the hitter, modern hitter. So I think Ashwin and Narayan to open, and then we can have Kumble, who Arvinder De Silva used to call he was a medium pacer in itself. So Kumble can give me that Afridi kind of a element, and then Warne would become like Warne and Murli will become my primary number 4, number 5 bowlers who will bowl more than 6 overs. Let's put it that way in a 50-over game. What about you?
Also, just wanted to ask you who finishes the innings for you? Like 45 overs, last 5 overs
Who
of the
can
innings.
bowl? Yeah, I think who can bowl block hole for me. So I think Imran Tahir has got a good pace and he can bowl a lot of block hole deliveries. Kumble could be a decent option, but I'm looking at Tahir.
I also want to remind you, you have one of the best limited overs bowlers in
Rashid
the
Khan.
recent
Rashid
times.
Khan. Yeah, Rashid Khan can bowl at any point of time. So I think it's a good pick. I think Rashid Khan and Imran Tahir as my back end bowlers.
Interesting. For me personally, I think I have Shahid Afridi, who can like be a part medium pacer, part
He could
spinner
be a
for me.
seamer.
He could be a seamer for me. And the other option is, of course, Ravi Ashwin. I have Aksar Patel, who can be my new ball bowlers, who know how to change things up, who know how to outsmart, as you very rightly put, who know how to outsmart the modern batter. So I have all of them as my new ball bowlers. And then taking over from there, I have the trio of Anil Kumble, Shane Warne, and Murli to take the game to, say, the 40th over. And then in between, I can also mix up with Rashid Khan, and who takes the game further till the very end, till the 50th over. So I think that would be my strategy with these bowlers.
Nice. So guys, there you have it. I think we have covered all bases while creating this fantastical Spinners 11 in ODI cricket. We will soon be back with another episode. We are available on all podcasting platforms. Thank you for listening in and take care.